I want you to really take a look at this screen for a second. Look at the chaos of Lumbridge. It truly is a mix of all worlds. A crossroads where 20 years of history, struggle, and obsession all collide in one stone courtyard. This isn't just a starting zone. It's the heartbeat of Gielinor. You've got level 126s flickering in and out of existence, teleporting to God knows where, and gear that costs more than my entire bank will probably ever be worth. They are moving with a purpose that is almost violent. They have to be at a boss in 30 seconds. They have to finish a Slayer task. They are slaves to a clock they didn't even start. You have the bots moving in predetermined patterns like the millions that came before, all striving for some unknown goal. And then there's me. Level 3, a wooden shield that looks like it was scavenged from a fence post, and a bronze sword that's probably never seen a sharpening stone. Usually, when we start a new account, we feel this crushing weight of not being there yet. We look at the top of the mountain and we despise the fact that we're at the base. But standing here, watching them rush past, I realize something. I am the only person in this courtyard who is actually free. Because I am nobody. The game can't bully me into being efficient. I don't have a reputation to uphold. I don't have a daily grind to defend. I am invisible. And in that invisibility, I found a superpower. I spent 15 minutes today just watching the way the shadows move across the Lumbridge gates. I watched a group of new players struggle with a cow. A high-level player would look at me and see wasted XP, but I look at them and I see a lack of perspective. When you have everything, you see nothing. But when you have nothing, when you're at absolute zero, the world finally opens up. Talking to the Lumbridge chef didn't feel like a quest prompt. It felt like a high-stakes meeting. He's stressed, he needs a cook, and because I'm small enough to care, his problems become my entire world. That's the magic of the start. Those moments before you become a somebody and forget how to breathe. You know, we've been robbed, man. We really have. For 10 years, the wiki and the quest helpers have been stealing the soul out of this game. We've turned an adventure into a series of blue boxes and spacebarring through dialogue. We treat the people in this world like vending machines. We put in the time, we get the reward, but we never actually stop to look the game in the eye. So I did something radical. I closed the browser, I stopped the plugins, and I actually read what that chef was saying. And you know what? There is a dry, tired humanity in this game that we've paved over with efficiency. I found myself laughing at the dialogue, not because it was a meme, but because it felt like a real conversation with a guy who was just having a bad day in the kitchen. By the time I finally finished up the quest, the XP reward didn't just feel like a number ticking up. It felt like a trophy. I didn't just complete a task. I had navigated a landscape. I had used my eyes instead of a blue arrow. That struggle, the genuine, I don't know where I am feeling, is the only thing that makes the progress feels real. If it's easy, it's just data. If it's hard, it's a memory. And I'm here to make memories, not spreadsheets. That's where the real shift happens, when you get lost in the world. I had a walk of shame today. I had brought my fishing rod, but completely forgot the bait. And in a guided world, that's considered a fail. That is a red box moment. But in a nobody world, that walk back is where the world gets big again. When you can teleport everywhere, Gielinor is a postage stamp. When you have to walk back across the bridge, feeling the weight of your own mistakes, the world becomes a continent again. You start to hear the music shift. You notice the sound of the wind in the trees. The journey becomes physical. Take a look at my inventory right now. To anybody else in this game, this is a collection of junk. A pot of flour, a cup of beer, a couple swords, and maybe some coins that I found on the floor somewhere. But look closer. Every single pixel in those 28 slots was earned with blood, sweat, and a whole lot of walking. There is no grand exchange to bail me out. There is no bank on an alt. This is purity. This is the dopamine of the small. When level 20 cooking flashed on my screen, it hit me harder than any 99 in RuneScape 3 ever did. Why? Because I remember the grind of the grain. I remember which cow I milked. I remember the frustration of clicking the A. It's a low-level high that most players have completely forgotten exists. I found this weird, quiet peace in being the cook's assistant. It's a safe, simple life, where the biggest threat is burning a shrimp or getting slapped by a level 2 spider. But as I look north, I can feel that peace starting to rot. I'm looking towards the ice caves. I'm looking towards the wilderness. That quiet, nobody energy is starting to sharpen into something cold. It's becoming the anxiety of a hardcore Ironman. Right now, I can laugh at my mistakes. I can laugh at the forgotten bucket or getting lost in the wheat field. But where I'm going next, a forgotten item or a misclick isn't a walk of shame. It's a death sentence. It's the end of a video. It's the end of a journey. The fragility of this account is finally sinking in. I've enjoyed the warmth of the Lumbridge kitchen long enough, but the cold is coming. And I need to know if a nobody can survive in the places where somebody's go to die. Because if I fall here, I don't just respawn. I disappear. The silence hits you first. When you leave the Lumbridge loop, the music doesn't just change. It thins out. I found myself standing in the ice caves today, and for the first time, I wasn't looking at the shadows on the wall. I was looking at the mini-map. I was looking at all those yellow dots. There's a weird psychological trap on a hardcore Ironman. To a main account, mining blurite or copper is a chore. But when you only have one life, the mundane becomes a minefield. You aren't just clicking a rock, you're calculating every tick. You're listening for the sound of a spell or the sudden appearance of an ice giant. On a normal account, if you die, you lose 10 minutes. But on this account, if I get careless because I'm bored, the screen goes gray and the journey's over. That realization turns boring gameplay into a psychological thriller. We don't hate the grind because it's slow. We hate it because we've forgotten how to make it matter. And here, it matters more than anything. The danger isn't always a blade or a spell. Sometimes the danger is just the scale of the task. When you're a nobody, you don't have a supply chain. You have a backpack and a pair of boots. I spent an hour today just trying to figure out where to find a specific pie dish for her quest. On a main, that's a 5-second transaction at the Grand Exchange. But here, that's a trek across 3 whole kingdoms. This is the logistics of the Lost. You start to view the map of Gielinor not as a playground, but as a giant puzzle where the pieces are hidden under rocks and in the pockets of the most obscure NPCs. You realize that if you forget one single item, one bucket, one pot, one tinderbox, you have just added 20 minutes of walking to your day. And then there's the north. I had to cross that ditch today. Most people do it without even thinking. But when you're a nobody, with no defense and a health bar that looks like a suggestion, the wilderness isn't just a zone, it's a liability. I stood at that ditch for a long time. I watched the level 100-somethings jump over it like it was nothing. He is a somebody. He has a bank to rebuild him. I have neither. Crossing that line felt like an admission of guilt, like I was purposefully putting the last 10 hours of my life on the roulette table and letting the house spin the wheel. Every tree looked like a player. Every bit of lag felt like a heart attack. Out here, being a nobody just means you're an easy target. The invisible superpower doesn't work when everyone is looking for a kill. I'm chasing a number now, 32. The Champions Guild is sitting there on the horizon like a fortress I'm not invited to. I'm no longer just existing in Gielinor. I'm dismantling it, step by step, point by point. But the closer I get to 32, the louder the danger gets. The cold isn't coming anymore. It's already here. There's a specific rhythm to the anvil when you know the stakes are high. Standing in Thurgo's hut, surrounded by the smell of soot and the sound of the ocean, the nobody finally found his edge. Watching that sword take shape in my hands was the first time that this account felt dangerous. Most players see the Knight Sword as a fast track to level 29 smithing, a meta strat to skip the early game. But for me, it was a trial. I had to face the ice caves, I had to navigate the giants, and I had to gather every ingredient without the Grand Exchange to bail me out. When that quest completion scroll finally hit the screen, it wasn't just 12,000 XP. It was a transformation. I walked into that hut a scavenger, and I walked out a smith. I'm no longer just existing in this world, I'm starting to shape it. The blade isn't just steel. It's a receipt for the work we've put in when no one was watching. But Gielinor has a way of grounding you. You go from forging legendary alloys to chasing a chicken in a haunted basement. Ernest the Chicken is the ultimate nobody quest. It's absurd, it's tedious, and if you aren't using a guide, it is a genuine psychological test. I spent at least an hour down in the bowels of Draenor Manor, pulling levers and listening to the mechanical groans of the house that seemed determined to keep me there. There's something poetic about it, though. While the somebodies are at the Grand Exchange worrying about margins and ticks, I'm solving a logic puzzle to save a man's humanity. In the manor, the game stops being a grind and starts being an adventure again. It reminded me exactly why I closed the wiki in the first place. The reward wasn't just a quest point, it was the satisfaction of hearing the final mechanical click and knowing that I had figured it out on my own. Ernest is back on two legs, and I am one step closer to that gate. Now that the adrenaline is starting to fade into a cold reality. 8. That's the number. Between the kitchen, the forge, and the manor, I have secured 8 quest points. In a world of speedruns, that's a failure. In the world of the nobody, it's a foundation. I can feel the weight of what's coming next. To reach the Champions Guild, to hit that magic 32, I still have 24 points to climb. The next time I step out of this castle, the safety of Lumbridge will be a memory. I have demons to hunt, a prince to break out of a jail cell, and a vampire in Draenor. The invisible phase is over. I've made my first mark, and the world is starting to look back. The machine is fueled, the blade is cold, and the road to 32 starts tomorrow. I'm the Late Night Toke, and until next time, stay toasted.